Hello and welcome to this video on amino acids, the basic building blocks of proteins. Well, basic building blocks of protein is the end result of combining the roughly 20 common amino acids. This can come in many different orientations, forms, and configurations. How they are made and differ is important, and it's why we have 20. Although it is worth knowing there are 20 amino acids for humans, but up to 22 used commonly in other species, and possibly up to 200 in total. Amino acids are roughly divided into several groups. Although there is the single amino acid group, there are 5 that are called charged side chains, 4 with polar uncharged side chains, 8 with hydrophobic side chains, and 4 that exist just to aggravate people by being exceptions with their own special rules. Amino acids have 2 parts, an amino and carboxylic functional group. These are the groups of elements on each side of the carbon in the center. They are also what makes the amino acid functional. That is, it's what allows them to connect to each other and interact with other things. A carboxylic group is a group that has a hydroxyl or oxygen and hydrogen bonded to a carbon. The other bond in this situation is a double bonded oxygen attached to the same carbon. The amino group is nitrogen attached to hydrogens and the carbon that makes the backbone of the amino acid. These 2 groups are needed for amino acids. They are what make them. Beyond just the 2 functional groups mentioned, some have more side chains. Side chains come about when amino and carboxyl groups are not at the end of the amino acid, but come off from somewhere towards the middle. This is why you have amino acids with charged side chains as an example. The charged side chain feature means they either have a negative or positive charge based on the sum of the elements that make up that side chain. When either a positive charge or a negative charge is greater overall, that is the charge given to that amino acid. Arginine, histidine, and lysine are positively charged amino acids. That's because the collective elements that make up their side chains all have a total net positive charge. Aspartic acid and glutamic acid are negatively charged amino acids, and that is because they have a total sum negative charge. That is the overall charge of those side chains. The polar uncharged amino acids are similar in that respect, but their total charge of amino acids on the side chains is equal. Serine, threonine, asparagine, and glutamine all come under this category of uncharged. Hydrophobic amino acids are a specific set, and these are unique in what they do, but it's because of what they do that they get their name. The hydrophobic name means that they do not like being exposed to water. When in a protein, they will always try and be positioned inwards, facing away from the water outside of the protein. Alanine, valine, isoleucine, leucine, methionine, phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan are hydrophobic. The side chains are what contribute to different classes of amino acids, but when you look at them, there's another way to break them down, and that is those that are aliphatic, or carrying a carbon that can either be single, double, or even triple bonded. That is, you can further react it by reducing the bonds and thereby remove the number of bonds by adding in new hydrogens or other molecules. Your genes will code for each of these amino acids separately. That is the instructions set to select the right amino acid and put it in sequence with others. Doing so builds up proteins. Not all amino acids can be made by the human body, and this is the caveat to building up proteins. There are several that can only be sourced from dietary intake. In particular, histidine, isoleucine, leucine, methionine, phenolphthalein, tryptophan, and valine are all essential amino acids, or only available via dietary intake. Your body cannot synthesize these, which means in order to make large proteins, you are going to need to have dietary supplementation of these particular amino acids, or they simply cannot be made. Further, there are 4 semi-essential amino acids: cysteine, tyrosine, arginine, and taurine. In children at least, this is primarily because their body has yet to develop the full complement of necessary enzymes to synthesize these, and so without adequate intake from diet, they won't have normal growth. For an adult, this is less of a concern. Where adequate dietary intake of amino acids is not possible for those not already mentioned as being essential, they can be synthesized. That is, they can be made via cellular processes that take them and are making them from much smaller constitutional parts or repurposing other things. Amino acids don't just exist for protein synthesis, although that is the most commonly recognized role they have. Proteins also have a lot of roles in other ways in the body. For example, the creation of neurotransmitters like GABA. It's involved in the creation of porphyrins, nitric oxide, nucleotides, and more. Amino acids can even be used in lieu of glucose by the body to produce ATP, which is what powers all of your other processes that need energy. By themselves, amino acids do not seem very important, but remember that each is coded for by your genetics. It's also possible that some are a compulsory dietary inclusion, while others are definitely a needed inclusion. Your body takes these individual little molecules and uses them to build up just about everything in your body that is not a mineral. Thank you for watching this video. If you have found it interesting, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please post any comments, questions, or suggestions you have below.